Welcome back to week 2 of Footwear Fridays, guys. Today is probably my favorite topic, and it's going to be tools in the tool shed. So, why do we have certain types of shoes? Why do we use them? And going from there. So, I have my handy dandy screwdriver, and I like the analogy of a screwdriver because a screwdriver is really good at what it does, right? We have, Phillips heads, we have flat heads, and they're really good tools. But to hammer in a nail, we could do that with the screwdriver, but it won't be as efficient or as effective. And so, just like with, tools, we need, I could cut something with this, but it would take me forever. We need certain selective tools. And so today I'm going to go over, my selected shoes and why I use them, and and hopefully that can help you guys. In general, running shoes, from their variety, last about 300 to 500 miles, give or take miles in there. I tend to get right around 300 miles out of a certain selected pair of shoes. I'm just a little bit heavier on them, a little bit harder on them, so they don't last me as long. Put that in perspective, if you run 20 miles a week, it's about 4 months on a pair of shoes. If you're running about 20 miles, it's 4.5, 4 months. I know we had a question about when do we rotate shoes in, when do we not rotate shoes in, and I'm a big fan of just putting them in whenever. Honestly, like if you buy a new pair of shoes, slip it in, start using them. There's never a wrong time to necessarily slide in a new pair of shoes, but there's always, always a right time. So, put them in wherever you can, have some fun with them, slip them in, try them out. Obviously, kind of the general rule in running is, don't wear your brand new shoe on a long run or a fast run. I don't necessarily follow those rules myself. I believe that a shoe is its fastest right out of the box. And so I will wear a brand new pair of shoes for a race, typically the first time I'm wearing it, or a really fast day. I don't necessarily recommend doing that unless you're willing to take the consequences, which is typically blisters. If you look at my feet after an event, they're tore up, because uppers are a little differently. Where the pressure points in the shoe are going to be a little different. Other things that can happen, outside of blistering is just general pain. Your calves may be blown up a little more, your thighs may be beat up a little more, though, depending on how to do that. So if you're willing to make that sacrifice, then, and know that it's not the shoe's fault, it's your fault, then it's okay to do something like that. But in general, we always tell you to break in a shoe before you actually use it in an event, and if you had to put a rough mileage on that, I'd say that mile is probably around about 50 miles. This is kind of the general rule that we use, from that standpoint. So, in general here, I have five shoes. There's 2 shoes on the ground that you can't see. And these are kind of all in my rotation right now, from what I'm using them for. I'm missing 2 shoes. I honestly just don't have them right now because there's no purpose or no reason for them. So I kind of go through my shoes and then we'll break into it. So I have the Hoka Hupana right here. This is my everyday kind of shoe that I'll walk in if I'm not in my sandals. I definitely don't rotate shoes once I've worn them because they're broken down. And typically what breaks down in the shoe is the white part, is the foam. And so, those, you can squeeze them. Once that is broken down, the shoe's not really supporting you in the same way that it was. And so for me, I want a brand new pair of shoes on my feet, a shoe that I'm not running in to there. I think another thing that I'd like to say here is that when I put on a running shoe, literally the only thing I do with it is run. I don't walk in them. I want to slip them on my feet, go run in them, and take them off as soon as I'm done. That way I'm maximizing the miles that I put in that shoe, because each one of these foams, once you step in them and once you compress them, they're not going back to their 100% to where they were. I do believe in rotating shoes because it allows the foam to compress or to decompress and to come back in its original state. But it'll never go back to where it was the day before. So the general rule is always 24 hours to allow it. We extend the life of a shoe if we rotate more shoes in, and you'll see that through here. So I have the New Balance 890 here. This is my old racing flat, and so this is probably the only shoe that I'll actually recycle in my genre. This is also the shoe that I'm missing in my my toolbox right now. There is no races going on, so I don't have my racing flat style shoe, which is typically like that, like an 890. So what I do with this shoe right now is all my strength training. So you'll see that I've worn out kind of the sides here of the shoe because I'm doing more left and right movements. And I'm using that shoe strictly for strength now that I'm done running in it. A racing flat tends to only get 200 miles max. So running in them, really what we're doing there is races and or really fast stuff on the track that are maybe faster than race pace style. I have this Fuel Cell Rebel by New Balance as well. This is also my fast shoe. So this is going to be like my tempo and above style effort. So pretty much if I'm doing anything around that tempo pace, this is the shoe, or if I'm doing a faster run, this is the shoe I'm wearing. I have the Nike Pegasus here as well. This is my long run shoe or my easy pace shoe. And then I also have, which one? This is the Mach. So this is the Hoka Mach. This is also my easy run and long run shoe. So, I'm going to start with those two shoes. Those are the shoes that I spend the majority of my time in. So they're probably the shoes that I replace the most. So just like when your coach tells you, hey, you need to run easy, easy, long, those are the two shoes I'm in, and depending on what shoe I'm wearing that day, will determine a couple different factors. First thing is, what shoe did I run in yesterday? I don't typically run in a shoe 2 days in a row unless I'm forced to. And why would I be forced to? Budget. I don't have enough to budget to get another one yet. It's not on that, or I took a trip and I didn't bring both of them with me. Obviously, these are not necessarily black and white. There's some gray involved in this. But the biggest difference between these shoes, when you look at them, I guess I should pull both of them this way, is they look really similar, but there's actually quite a bit differences when you look at them. So the Nike is actually a little bit higher profile shoe. So if I'm a little bit more fatigued, this is a shoe that I'll probably tend to run in. It's a little bit higher profile. I don't have to work necessarily as hard in this shoe. I prefer to run in this shoe on my longer runs solely because it's a little bit lower profile. It has this nice little curve through here, which is what we call a toe spring. And what that toe spring allows me to do is really flex in that propulsion phase. So it allows me to get to that next step. So when I'm running, we also tend to have, Hokas generally have a lot of cushion in them. So, that's one of the other reasons that we push this to the easy run shoe. I do a lot more miles in these guys currently than I am in something like this. And some of the reason behind that too is that most of my shoes here all fit in that lower profile genre. And so throwing in something a little bit higher in that profile allows me to mix up the not only the pace, but the strength in my feet a little bit, and in the strength in the body. So again, I'm rotating those two shoes solely because they're the shoes that I spend the most time in, because as you guys know, we spend a lot of time running easy or running long or something in those genre. The next shoe I'll talk about is this Rebel. So my Rebel is my tempo shoe. So, that could be a long run that I'm going to have tempo efforts in. It could be a shoe that, I just want to go out and run some fast fartleks or maybe some stuff on the track. You can see my Instagram. I've definitely taken some track pictures with this. This is my running fast shoe, lower profile. From that, you're going to see, especially in this shoe, that when a shoe starts to wear out, and this is a bad angle, again, I need to do better with this stuff, that you're going to see these stress marks on the side of the shoe right here. And you're going to see that's what the shoe is doing. It's compressing. And so that's kind of a good shoe. This shoe needs to be updated, but I'm not in a fast phase, or I'm not really running hard right now. So when I'm running hard, I want that shoe to be there. They tend to be a little bit lighter weight than some of the other shoes that we're going to run in, just because you're running fast. And they normally have something, you're also going to see a little bit higher toe spring on this guy than what we did in that Hoka, because again, the purpose of this shoe is to run fast. Going back to that racing flat again, lesser miles, you're going to see again another high toe spring in this genre as well. Racing flats tend to have a more responsive feel, so a firmer feel. They also tend to be a little bit narrower. So if we pull, something like, in the same brand, you're going to see that this shoe has a little bit narrower gapping through here. It's a performance-based shoe, and performance-based shoes tend tend to be just that. Like they're supposed to be a little bit uncomfortable, because that person who's willing to wear it and willing to run fast in it is willing to make that sacrifice to have a little bit of uncomfortability to run a little bit harder. Just how it is. And then again, this Hupana that I tend to just walk in, still a running shoe. Running shoes are probably the lightest, most comfortable things out there. You're going to see that on that toe spring, it's a little bit flatter, kind of like that Pegasus. Hupana is, I believe, classified as kind of their casual category. You can run in it. It's kind of the non-Hoka Hoka is the way I like to look at it. I like the way it feels, super soft underfoot, super comfortable. I actually even have a softer base insole in there as well. Just trying to aid recovery. That's kind of the purpose of when I'm in this shoe. Like we're trying to recover from whatever we did that morning or that afternoon, in there. I think, when we look at the insole side of it, again, I work for an insole company. I have literally the same insole in all 4 of those shoes running. From that aspect of it, I like to run in a similar sensation underneath my foot. So I put that in there. Can you change insoles in that variety? Absolutely. Depending on the function of what you're looking at, but that's where we're going from there. The other shoe that I haven't talked about today is a trail shoe. It's getting a little warmer, which means snakes come onto the trail a little bit more. If you know me, I'm deathly afraid of snakes. I'll even throw your phone across the room if I'm looking at it and there's a snake on it. But so I avoid the trails a little bit during the warmer months because they're more than likely out there sunbathing. So the other brand of shoe that we can have out here is a trail shoe. So when we look at this overall purpose of why we have shoes, what am I trying to accomplish? And again, I can run fast in a long shoe. I can run slow in a faster shoe. It's just that's not what their design, what their purpose is. For someone like myself, when I'm looking at a shoe. So when I go into a shoe store or online, if I'm looking at footwear, I'm really looking at those things. Like what is my purpose? What do I want to accomplish in this shoe? Why are we using this shoe? And then you're making my choice from there. I tend to stay within my genre of shoes that I like. From a brand standpoint. If they come out with a new style shoe, I'm willing to try it and see if I like it. We want to be comfortable. Again, going back to what we talked about last week, we want to be comfortable in there, but willing to make some of those sacrifices from an uncomfortability standpoint. I think the only thing that you don't see here that I don't have is some of those carbon plated shoes that, and that was a question from Blake. Carbon plated shoes do work, right? They've been around for a while now. I believe Zoot was the first one to actually put them in their shoes. Just like a road bike or a cycling shoe that are carbon plated, it just helps. It helps reduce road vibrations, right? Force in, force out. There's a reason there's scientific evidence and why USATF, so USA Track and Field, is actually looking at if these shoes are legal, which they have approved, because they're available for mass use. There's a reason behind it. They are faster. They just from that carbon plate does work. That's why you also see these brands. We just saw Saucony and New Balance both come out with theirs. Hoka has a shoe out right now with it. Nike obviously does as well. You're going to see more shoes and more brands adapting to that because it's faster. People pay for performance. They want performance. Just like in the road variety, we can actually buy faster material, right? If you put on a disc wheel, you spend that money, you become faster. Versus that, that standard wheel that comes with pretty much every bike. So we can buy speed to some ability in the running genre as well. So yes, they work. I do not have one, mainly because I don't want to pay $250 for one. So, that's kind of my shoe talk for today. If you have questions, please reach out to me. It's Johnathan at mindrightendurance.com. You reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, or you can hit these chats up. We look back. Thank you for coming. Next week, we'll kind of talk about paradigms and how the paradigm has shifted over the years in running, and go from there. So thank you, and have a great day, guys.